Good evening, everyone. I am so excited to have you guys on here. Today, you're going to get to meet one of my personal friends, and she's my sponsor. Well, I'm telling her husband. So anyway, this is the person that told me about Plexus in the first place. And because of her sharing, all of you guys have been able to benefit from it. So I'm really excited for you to hear her story tonight. But before we get started, I'm going to go ahead and open us in prayer, and then we'll get going. So, Father, I thank you for this evening, Lord. I thank you for those that are able to come here and take time out of their day. Lord, I pray that everyone would go away having learned some tidbit, something that encourage and inspire them. I pray that you would just bless this evening. Thank you again for all that are here. In Jesus' name, amen. Okay, so Liz, why don't you go ahead and start out, share a little of your story, and then I have a few questions that I will ask. So be prepared to show and tell us all of your stories that got you to Diamond.
Great. Well, thank you. I can't wait for those questions, let me tell you. So my name is Elizabeth Spohn. I'm a Diamond Ambassador with Plexus, and you guys you guys are so blessed to have Stephanie. I am so excited. It's been such a fun journey to work with her, and she has really devoted a lot to pouring into you guys and pouring into learning and leadership, and that is just amazing, and not everybody's like that. So I hope that you guys realize the gem that you have in her. So I'm going to move this a little bit because I can see myself looking all funky. They say you're not supposed to look at yourself, but I'm like, who else am I supposed to look at? So I began Plexus 3 years ago, so I just had my 3-year anniversary, and I'm originally from Tennessee. And our neighbor shared with us about Plexus, and I worked at a ministry full-time. I made $20,000 a year, and I loved it, and it was where God had me. And so our neighbor shared with us, she was, we're in a small town of 7,000. She was the RN, and she was the sheriff's wife. And so I trusted her, and I trusted her opinion. And she shared with my mom and I was like, and she, of course, she shared about the product. She had an amazing testimony. And I was like, that's great, but it's not going to work. And I was very skeptical, as most of us are when we first hear about Plexus. And my mom's like, you know what? I'm going to jump on. It's only $34. And I was like, okay, if you jump on, then I will too. And so I did. And you know what? I had been praying for something. Carl and I were dating, and he lived here in Alaska. And so I was praying for a plan B. And I had a side photography business. I did eBay as well. I went to thrift stores and bought purses and designer things, and then would sell them on eBay, and did very well at that. But I was looking for something that I could stay at home with when we married, and just couldn't find that. And I had all these crazy ideas that I would start a coffee shop, and before coming to Alaska and seeing one every quarter mile. So that was just kind of funny to think back on. But anyway, so that's just a little bit of how I got started. My goal was honestly to earn $300 a month. When I realized that, the growth of the company, and Teresa, is the one, my mom's sponsor, and her upline, which is her niche, came and shared with us. And she shared with us about the business opportunity. And she'd been in the company about 8 months, was making about $8,000 or something. I think she had was about to hit Emerald, so she was going to get the free Lexus and the yearly trip to Hawaii. And I thought, that sounded pretty exciting. And I was like, but all I want to do is make $300 a month. And that was my goal. And, the others sounded nice, but that was my goal, because that would make a difference in my income. And so I started sharing with everyone I knew. And I signed up, and then the very next morning I flew to Alaska for the first time and got to meet Carl's family. I met Stephanie at church and everything. And I didn't go and puke Plexus on her, even though I wanted to.
No, you didn't. You didn't mention it, actually, not even a little bit.
No, I was terrified. I'm still overcoming that fear, you know. So, but I went to work with Carl, and I was like, I would go and use his internet and research things online about Plexus and learn as much as I could. And we went out with his boss to go out to eat. And I said, okay, Carl, we're both going to take a Slim, and we're going to take it out to eat, and we're going to mix it up when we go out to eat with your boss. And he's going to sit there and interrogate me about why I want to marry you. And we're going to sit there and drink our Plexus. And he's going to ask us what we're drinking. And then we can share Plexus. So, anyway, yeah, it was pretty.
So did it work?
He didn't ask. Like, we literally poured it and mixed it up right there. And I was waiting, like I was all prepared, like he's going to ask and I know exactly what I'm going to say because I memorized the little thing. So,
oh, goodness.
So it was fun though. And I think the biggest thing is I started posting on Facebook right away. And even though I didn't know, I hadn't had results with the products yet, I started sharing other people's results. And so I started talking with everyone. And I came home from being in Alaska for 2 weeks or 3 weeks. And I posted on Facebook. I was able to get a few ambassadors right away. And I just started sharing with everyone. And we were in a small area, small town. Sonia Dudley lived 2 miles from me. And but we were in different groups of people. And so even though there was, several jewels already in Tennessee and in our small area, nobody in our area had heard about Plexus, even though we were 2 miles apart. So I started just sharing with everyone. And everybody's like, so Liz, what's going on? What have you been doing? And I was able to share with them. And a lot of people saw it on my Facebook. And, a lot of them laughed at me. And I was just like, you know what, you guys, this is amazing. And you're going to see. And so I surrounded myself with people that were like-minded and that all had the same vision that I did. They all were, I went to meetings. I took people to meetings. I feel like meetings were pivotal for my business because if I didn't know the answers, then that's okay because I could take them to a meeting. And that's how I signed up Amber Miller, who's a Diamond Ambassador, and her mom, Lori Welch, who's a Diamond Ambassador, because we took them to meetings because I didn't know all the answers and mom didn't know. And, we were all still learning. And so, but we were like, here, let's go to a meeting and and we'll find out together. And so that was just a fun thing. The other thing that I feel like was really important was I went to convention. I had been in the business 6 months, and during that time, Carl and I got engaged. I was planning a wedding. So a month before I got married, I went to New Orleans and went to convention. And my couple uplines that were supposed to go, they all encouraged me, oh, Liz, you got to go to convention. You got to go to convention. And then they ended up not going because things so I went by myself, and I went on the convention page and I found these 2 ladies who I'd never met before. And I said, do you have room in your room? Because they said they had room. So I ended up staying with these 2 ladies I had never met before and got to know, different people. And I went to convention by myself, and it was amazing. And it gave me the belief that if all these other people could do it, then I could do it. And so I feel like that is so important.
Okay, so, I've got a quick question. When you went to convention, how many people were there?
There was.
And what rank were you?
I was silver, and I think there was maybe less than 2,500 people. Wow. I believe it was their 3rd convention. Sarah Marble was Sapphire. She had just hit Sapphire. There was 1 diamond on stage. When they called it diamonds, there was 1 diamond on stage, which was Sheila Medina. And I didn't even know that you couldn't sit in the front. And Sonia was sitting in the front, and I was like, here, I'll come sit with you. And she's like, oh, these seats are reserved, for the jewels. And I'm like, oh, what's a jewel? I was pretty clueless, but, it was, yeah. it was really exciting to see. I remember seeing Celeste and Jen there. Jen had just had her baby, and I saw these two girls, you know, running in, and I had no idea who they were. You know, I was just like, this is all great and wonderful. And it really gave me the vision of what Plexus could be. And I came home and like, okay, if these people can do it, then I can do it. And before, I was excited and different things, and I went to different meetings, but this just like opened up a whole new world. And so I was like, this is amazing. So after that, a month later, Carl and I got married, and then I moved here to Alaska. Didn't know anyone outside of his family, and Stephanie that I'd met at church. And so I just worked on building relationships, and because I didn't know anyone here. And so that was, I feel like, pivotal as well, because I just worked on building relationships. And I did set up at bazaars and different things like holiday bazaars. And that was simply because of the people that I had been talking with. Then it gave me third-party validation with them. So I had been talking with Stephanie, and then she would come to the bazaar. And so then she saw that I didn't just do Plexus, I actually did Plexus. I actually made an effort and stuff. And so that was what won it, right, Stephanie, you know?
Yeah, well, and you, when you first told me about Plexus, you had us over for dinner, and you had their first catalog. You had it sitting out on the counter. And I was like, what's this? And you're like, oh, this is Plexus. And you started telling me about it. And I was like, oh, that's nice, you know, and I was not interested. And at the time I was using a different product from a different company. I was like, well, maybe she'll come over on my team. Oh my goodness. So that's hilarious now 2 years later. So that is just so awesome. So yeah, guys, Liz talks about convention and going, and our convention, this one she went to was less than 2,500. Liz, what was our last number? Like, we were close to 8,000 or 9,000 people.
Our last convention
for this one that's coming up in Vegas.
They have 9,500 registered.
Okay.
And it can only hold, what was it, 11 or 12, I think it was. And that was a couple weeks ago, though. That was the last number I heard.
Yeah. So absolutely incredible, the growth that we have had since then. If you are not signed up yet, you need to get your butt on the website and go register. It's Vegas, so there are lots of places that you can get a really nice hotel that's not expensive. You can share a room, but just make the commitment and go, because you went to your first convention, you were a silver. What was the next convention that you went? What were you?
I was emerald at the next convention, and then I was diamond at last year's convention.
Yeah. So that is awesome. Okay. So what are one of your best tips and practices that you would tell someone? What was one of the things that you feel has really helped you get to diamond?
I think, honestly, one of the biggest things that makes the difference is relationships. And I know we say that, and in the beginning, and it took me a while to realize, relationships are where it's at. And I would talk to people about Plexus, and they would say no, and I didn't realize no was really a not right now. And so when they would say no, I would just be like, they said no, and then I moved on to the next person, versus working on building that relationship. And so I feel like that was, once I realized that, I was like, oh my dear, that's huge. And so I was able to go back and continue to build relationships with people. The other thing, what has really been pivotal, I think looking for influential people has been huge for my team, for Carl's team. It's been huge for our growth. And those people are going to be busy. And like Stephanie, sorry, her buzzer, her driveway. When you're looking for those people that are influential, they are the movers and the shakers. and you'll find them, and you'll often see them, you know, in a group, and they are the ones who are making things happen. And I saw Stephanie and I saw her mom, and I was like, those are people that you want on your team, because those people are going to run with it because they're already busy, and you want people that are like that. And so I worked at, I mean, obviously I liked her as a person, and Carl was like, hey, she's a great person to hang out with. And so I worked on building that relationship, and I didn't push Plexus on her at all. But as I continued to grow and learn, and she learned more about the product and the company, she jumped on board with that. So I feel like that has been huge.
Yeah. And that is one thing that I would definitely say about you, Liz, is that you are very much a people person. Like you just collect friends, you meet people and you connect with them, and you get them, you friends on Facebook, and you stay in touch. And, you know, even when I was first starting my business and I was hearing, you know, it's relationship. And it almost takes a little bit of time for people to get it, because you have to be invested into people. And if you're not willing to pour into people and have some type of, I don't know, just reach out to them. They're not going to listen when you have anything to say, you know? And so continually reaching out and sharing and still being friends. You know, I've had people that have tried the product and they're like, I didn't notice anything. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. And I've still stayed in touch with them. And now, you know, a year later, they're like, okay, I want to jump on your bandwagon, you know? But it's not like, okay, you don't want my product, fine, block you and move on. No, you are still friends with them because you are genuinely caring about them as a person. So that is one thing that with Liz is something like, I'm still meeting people, like I'm just meeting people. And she's like, oh, do you know Liz Spohn? Or do you know Elizabeth Spohn? Or do you know the Spohns? And I'm like, how did you do this? So that is definitely one of her strengths. Okay, so I've got another question for you, Liz.
Okay.
What would be your favorite personal growth tool that you have learned from, that you feel like really has made a difference?
Oh, well, obviously there is tons of videos and different things that have really impacted me. Sonia has great videos. Kelly Norman has great videos. I think as far as books go, you know, let me look at my shelf real quick. You know, Sarah Robbins does, you know, the Rock Your Network Marketing Business. And I think that gave me just the foundational things of what to do. And that really helped me as far as like helping me grow. It was really just talking with different people and realizing I stopped for a while. When I was working my business, I went into manager mode when I hit Emerald. And I just worked on being busy, and I was busy with this and I was busy with that with my team. And I stopped actually working on recruiting. And I realized, I need to get back to what got me here. And I think it's really easy to forget that when we have a team that's working and that's doing really well, that we need to never stop. We're always sharing Plexus. We're always making new connections and building those relationships, and then sharing Plexus with them. And, you know, they're coming in as a new ambassador and we're, you know, helping them. And so, I realize that doesn't give you a book of what that I've read that, you know, has really made a difference, but it was honestly just talking with different people. I feel like the 4 Colors of MLM, the 4 Color Personality book by Big Al, I listen to that book about every other month. I have it on audio and I just listen to it. And every single time I do, I find out something new that I missed or that I've forgotten. And I realize, okay, this is how I need to connect with this person. And so it's all about connecting with people, really. I mean, it's really about trying to connect with them and be able to relate with them and be sincere in it, because they'll see if you're not, obviously.
Exactly. No, that's good. Okay, so last question here. What are things that you have learned that you would tell somebody that's new, that's just starting out, or if they've been in the business and they feel stuck, what would you tell them?
Well, so if someone was new, the first thing that I would encourage them to do is post on Facebook. And I know it's intimidating. And even though, even before, say that a lot of people are worried that I don't have a testimony yet. And that's what I was. I was worried, I don't have a testimony yet. How can I post on Facebook? And, and really, I would just encourage you to do it anyway. Feel the fear and do it anyway. And, and just continue to do that, and obviously continue to build relationships. The other thing, if you're stuck in the business, then go back to the basics. Okay, what are the basics? Reaching out, building relationships, talking to people, doing your personal growth 20 minutes a day, and go back to the basics. Doing three-way calls with people that join has been huge for my team just in the last year, or less than a year that we've started implementing it. I'm like, wow, this is really amazing. And then I think it's continuing to push outside of your comfort zone. And even as a Diamond Ambassador, I have my comfort zone, and I continue to expand that comfort zone. And it's like a rubber band, it's gonna, you're gonna stretch it, and then it's gonna go back, and you're gonna continue. And even doesn't matter what rank you are, we are all having to continue to push outside of our comfort zones. And I think that is so huge. And I think it's easy for us to get to a certain place, or get stuck, and and we're just, well, no one's listening to me, and nobody will listen to me about Plexus. No one's interested. Well, maybe you need to change it up. Maybe you need to change up the way you post. Maybe you need to be more positive. Maybe you need to work on some affirmations, because that really does all make a difference. And so,
yeah. Okay. So you'd mentioned three-way calls. What do you talk about when you get on them? Because I know it's always good to hear from someone else besides just me about, these are really good and they're going to really help your business.
Yeah.
So how do you get people on three-way calls? And then what are just a few of the points that you talk about?
Yeah. So obviously, if they're a new ambassador, then I tell their team member, I tell them, my level 1, I say, get this person on a three-way call with me. And obviously they have to, make the effort to get that person on the three-way call, and we get on the phone, and I just try to connect with that person. Say if it was Stephanie, it'd be like, oh, you live in Alaska. That is so cool. How long have you been there? What is the weather? I mean, I am going to work on connecting with her and just finding out a little bit about her, because I don't want her to think I'm this high and mighty person because I'm not. I'm just me. I'm normal. And so I'm going to work on connecting with her, and then I'm going to be so excited. You join Plexus. Welcome to Plexus. I am so excited to have you. And then I'm going to talk with her about what are her goals. What are your goals? What are your health goals with Plexus? What are your, what are your financial goals? Or, are you looking to pay for your products? I'm never going to say, are you just a wholesale ambassador? Because that's going to put in her mind that she's a wholesale ambassador. Are you looking to pay for your products? Because what is paying for her products? That's 3 to 5 customers. So that's what I'm going to say. Let's help you do that. What can we do to help you do that? And so I'm just going to try to find, what their goals are. What questions can I answer for them? And then I'm going to tell my story to them. I'm going to share my story and try to inspire them and show them what this can be. If I can do this, then anyone can do this. I'm not special, but I just kept pushing through even when it was hard. And so I think that is the biggest thing.
Yeah. Yeah, that is awesome. Well, thank you so much, Liz, for being on here. I am so, and I was friends with Carl before Liz was even in the picture. And so it was funny because we were just over at their house on Friday night, and Carl and I are like the same personality types, and like this, what is that called?
The Myers-Briggs.
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 No wonder we get along so well. So, he brought her up here. We got to meet, and they have just been such a blessing. Adrian and I always think, like, what would just our last check we got, and being able to pay off things and see all the people that are on our team now and that we're able to help, and that they are being able to pay for their products and help pay for their car insurance and all these different things. And, what if Liz had never shared? What if her person that told her hadn't shared? So you never know. And there was a quote that I just had listened to yesterday, and it was like, it said, others people's blessing depends on your obedience. So if I could just leave you with something tonight, Elizabeth gave us some really fabulous tips. Be a people person, invest in people, become good at connecting. She talked about the 4-color personality. That's a really good book, but really build those relationships. Go back to doing the basics, post on Facebook. But when you feel a nudge, or you don't want to reach out to someone, but you just really feel like you should, do it, because you never know who you could be stopping from having a tremendous blessing. So anyway, I want to thank you guys again for getting on tonight, and I hope you guys got something from this. I know I did. And I will unmute everybody, and thank you, Liz.
Thank you. Thank you.